Attention is the currency of the internet. And right now, more agents than ever are building brands, building audiences, building influence online. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. Influence can grow opportunity, visibility can accelerate growth, and a strong brand can compound faster than referrals ever could. But here's the question that's been sitting with me lately. What if scaling attention without structure is one of the fastest ways to lose alignment? What if the real risk of influence isn't burnout, it's drift? Drift from your family, drift from your identity, drift from your calling. Today, I'm joined by someone who understands online attention and influence at a very high level. Eric Simon, founder of BAM Media. He's helped agents capture attention, build brands, and turn visibility into real business growth. But today, I don't just want to talk about growth. I want to talk about maturity. Can you build a brand without becoming addicted to validation? And can you grow attention in a way that strengthens your life instead of destabilizing it? That's where we're going today. So Eric, thanks so much for being on, buddy. I am glad you're here. Bro, I'm just going to jump right in and ask you this first question. Attention is the currency of the internet, right? And for agents that are listening, and quite honestly, I'm kind of one of those, Eric, so I'm curious your thoughts. For agents who still think that social media is optional, what are they missing out on, brother?
Yeah, that shouldn't even really be a question at this point. I think, well, here I'll repackage it.
Yeah.
So I got my real estate license in 2015, and I saw the real estate industry kind of evolve with social media, where people would ignore it in 2015, or maybe they were just kind of peppering in on Facebook. Instagram didn't even really become a thing in the real estate space until maybe 2017, 2018. And because I would always go to these conferences and see that the real estate industry is always a couple years behind, it seems,
Hmm.
every other industry.
Hmm.
And now it is extremely important, because when you search on ChatGPT or when you search on Google, or the first thing someone does when they pick up their phone to potentially look into their real estate agent, it's not necessarily going to Zillow reviews or Google reviews or going to your property website anymore, or your agent website. It's going to your Instagram, right? It's going to your TikTok. It's searching best real estate agents in South Florida, and then because your Instagram handle says South Florida real estate agent, you pop up. Then they get to learn more about you by seeing your content, seeing you on video. So it's just a better way, or not a better way, but it's a great way to showcase who you are, what you know, what you're capable of from a marketing perspective, your deeper personality than just appearing on a property website. So I hope at this point that is kind of engraved in everybody's heads, and they should understand that being omnipresent on social is a very crucial part of your business. Because if you're not, and I search on Instagram and you're an agent that doesn't pop up and another agent does, and I get to learn 10 or 15 minutes about them by spending time consuming their content, then you're missing out on it. But hey, there's still plenty of agents that crush it without posting on social, and that's because they've built up an enormous Rolodex. So if you're not doing it, it's not the end of the world, right?
Sure,
But
sure.
it obviously helps.
Now, how about the agent, right? Because there's so much of, and you know this world better than me, but it's like this wannabe, I'm doing all of the things. I'm cold calling a little bit, open house a little bit, social media a little bit. And so their social just looks bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not good content. It's maybe not even authentic because they're just doing what someone told them to do.
Right.
What about the agent? If you're talking to someone and saying, look, if you're not going to actually spend real time on this, then just don't do it. Or what's
Mm-hmm.
the strategy for someone who says, I don't want to be on social, but I know I should show up there? What's a good strategy for somebody like that, Eric?
Well, you kind of got to look at it like it's any other lead generation task that no one wants to do in real estate. Do you want to go knock on doors? No. Do you want to cold call people? No. Do you want to sit a 3-hour open house and hope that someone's going to come in without another agent representing them, to hope that you hit it off with them to then represent them on another transaction? No. I didn't like doing any of that stuff, frankly.
Yeah,
Maybe
sure.
some other people do, but I think if you kind of flip your mindset into thinking this is a necessity for me to make more money for my family, then that certainly helps. In terms of the agent that doesn't like being on social, it's probably because they're not posting stuff. They're not posting about stuff that they like, right? You have a lot of agents that try to be other agents on social, or they're using templates and they're posting just solds or just listeds or motivational quotes, or they're kind of like masquerading as to what they think a real estate agent should be online, as opposed to really locking into content and topics that they enjoy discussing. So there's a
Mm,
ton of agents that crush it, that loop in their personality more than kind of becoming these like mini influencers of their hyper local community, which is extremely effective. But say I like golf, which I do, or say I like sports, or say I like going to church or temple or whatever it is. If you talk about the stuff that you're actually doing in your life, the restaurants that you're actually going to, the stuff in your community that you actually do, that comes through so much more on screen and in your content than
mm,
trying to force different content pillars on people, right?
mm,
Like I never wanted to do educational content from a real estate agent perspective where I'm talking about what's a balloon mortgage or an appraisal gap, or any sort of just like data point or definition. I found that stuff to be not aligned with my personality at all. Whenever I posted stuff about real estate when I was an agent, which was very rare, it was always from a comedic lens
mm,
of, come find me at my open house. And it was like a picture of me looking like an idiot in front of my open, right? That's because I enjoyed doing stuff like that. So I
mm,
think it's really the unlock of what I actually enjoy doing. How do I create content while I'm doing stuff that I enjoy doing? And how do I just be myself and be authentic? As cliche as that is, I think it's hard because you just see so many other people doing content that works that you want to emulate. But it's
mhm,
really, how do I create content about stuff that I like doing?
mm,
Then you'll actually have that unlock of content that
mm.
succeeds.
So is it I love that concept, right? This unlock, but is this unlock this idea of the people that are going to engage with your content?
Hmm.
They want to, I don't know, for lack of a better word, they want to date you first before they
Hmm.
marry you, right? They want to figure out who is Eric, and they don't know who Eric is if it is just sold and just listed. Maybe those are fine as social proof, I guess, of what I'm doing, but they really want to know. You and I come from that. I do a dad joke at every. You'll see at the beginning of this episode. I'll record a dad
Hmm.
joke, right? Like that's who I am. I was doing joke of the week since 2015 for my real estate business. I was sending it out in an email, and people would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I don't know. This is what I think is funny. Like, so I just do it. And it is authenticity is such a buzzword right now, but I think the reality is there's so much fake, right? In AI, there's so much fake in exactly what you said. We live in this hyper competitive world. We live in this hyper comparison world. And so we come on and I think, well, if Eric's doing that and that content's working, then I guess I should do that because it'll work for me. Are you saying the unlock is really just literally try to be you, but do it online? Is that essentially what the shift is?
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to get a little bit more tactical with it. I'll give you some examples.
Yeah, please.
There's an agent named Tom Story who we just had on our podcast.
Mm,
He is a very analytical person. So he likes breaking down housing market data. I don't
mm,
find that sort of content interesting, but his
mm,
audience does. And the people that just like the numbers, where they just
mm,
want to know, what is the monthly payment it costs to buy this house? How much money do I need to make to buy this house? That's the sort of content that he hits. Then there's someone like Shannon Gillette. Are you familiar with her at
mhm,
all?
sure.
So she's doing the Awaken Summit right now. She's leaning into faith-based content,
Mm,
right? And it's really helping her community grow. It's helping with her content because she's really talking about something that she's passionate about. There's an agent named Andy Greisinger who's out in North Carolina. He talks about golf in his content,
mm,
whether it's a listing video that starts at a golf course or it's just him talking about it in his Instagram stories. These are little connection points that the audience really relates to, where it's like, oh, hey, Garrett's on the golf course right now. I golf. That makes sense, right? Like
mm,
it's another point in your direction of me wanting to work with you. I have
mm,
a USC banner behind me right
mhm,
now in my content. I went to USC, favorite, football team, college. So other people in the USC network have hit me up on Instagram, or they have a deeper connection with me when I see them at conferences. They'll be like, "Oh, you're a Trojan too? That's
mm,
awesome."
mm,
So the point is to keep working in what's going on in your personal life. If you're a dad, then you're posting content about great kid friendly places to
mm,
take your kids, right? And
mm,
great restaurants, great parks, great activities that you do with them, showing your kids if you want to put them on social. But
mm,
like that sort of stuff hits the note of the consumer watching, where you have these little connection points where you're going to be more likely to work with someone.
mm,
So it's not necessarily like, oh, just be yourself. Like that's such an easy thing to say, but you will start to be yourself when you're posting about stuff that you care about. If
Mm,
I feel like a hostage and I'm sitting there talking about, um, yeah, a balloon mortgage or something,
sure.
like I mentioned before, it's going to come across like I'm just putting out content to put out content. And
Mm,
the audience could feel that when they're
mm.
consuming and they're like, oh, this person had a filming day and they're doing these talking head
Yeah, yeah.
education videos.
Sure,
That doesn't
sure.
work. But if
Yeah.
it's me on a golf course and I hit a shot and I turn around and say, by the way, inventory levels are up 10% in the Los Angeles area. And then I go and hit another shot, right? Now I'm creating content around something I like doing and it's more engaging. I
Hmm.
know that was long winded,
No,
but
no,
hopefully
that's
that
good. So it's almost like in my head, right? Is it be known for something other than real estate?
certainly
Right?
helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Or
can't just
just,
be like, he's just the real estate guy all the time. There's
mhm,
gotta be something else to your point of a connection point. All of these things that are unique about our personalities. I think a lot of agents, at least agents that I coach, are like, well, my job is to work with anyone. I'm like, that's not true at all. Your job is to be
yeah.
really clear about who you are. And then the people who want to work with you and are like you, those are the people who will come work with you. But if nobody knows who you are because all you ever talk about is real estate and rates and whatever, even in personal relationship, that's not the person that anyone's going to have a deep connection to, right?
Yes.
My clients overwhelmingly are young parents like I am. Of course,
Hmm.
because that's who I am. Overwhelmingly, they're Christian. They go to church because that's who I am, right? And
Hmm.
so if I try to not be that, I'm going to confuse my current clients, right? And I'm not going to be known for anything. So
And you're
is
going to
it
have
almost
less
that
fun
idea?
doing it.
Yeah, have fun doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I just mean you would have less fun doing it
Oh,
if you
sure.
weren't talking about the stuff you cared about. Like, think about the best content creators, not just in real estate, but in the world. Gary Vaynerchuk,
Hmm.
like, I know a ton about him, right? I know that he loves eating grapes, for example, because he created a viral video about how he loves crushing grapes. I think it's
Yeah.
his most viral video. That video
Interesting.
has nothing to do with
Mm,
marketing or investing or NFTs or anything that he talks about. What
mm,
else do you know about Gary Vee? You know,
mm,
he's family immigrated from Russia. You
mm.
know that he loves the New York Jets, that he eventually wants to buy the New York
Right.
Jets.
Sure.
So every Jet fan has a deeper connection with him, and you could see the pain of a sports fan every time he
Mm,
shows himself at one of these games.
mm,
So it's like those different levels of, I know this about Sharon, who used to play tennis.
mm,
Neil Dingra, who's another person in the real estate space. I
mm,
know I know his family.
mm,
I know his hobbies. I know that he was betting on the Super Bowl, right? Like I have all
mm,
these different points where of reference that make me like or dislike a person more. Like
mm.
obviously if you go the political route, for example,
Sure.
that could potentially harm you.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so in this scenario, right, where an agent says, "Okay, growing my influence, growing my brand." I mean, I've seen and I'm reading a book right now, Wealthy and Well Known, if you've read that, Rory Vaden, great book about building a personal brand, right? And so it seems like the way the world is going is that influence is going to be around these individual personal brands, right? I mean, it's just Mr. Beast. If Mr. Beast puts his name on anything, it's got a pretty high likelihood to succeed because people know who he is, right? Doesn't mean
Hmm.
these big companies like Apple and whatever, they're not going to exist. Of course they are. But Elon Musk is a bigger name than Tesla, right? It's these individual brands that are happening. So creating this influence that we have online. But have you seen points where someone's influence starts to grow maybe faster than their character, right? Or that their personal branding is becoming inherently dangerous because this dopamine and validation cycle. And so what started out as a helpful thing in their business, all of a sudden, as I mentioned at the beginning, right, becomes this drift away from family and drift away from what's important. Or my phone's always in my kid's face now because I got to build this personal brand and I'm checking 24 hours a day, right, to see if I got likes. Like, have you seen the dangers of that and where are they? Give us some guardrails around that.
I mean, look, I'm learning this myself, right? I mean,
Mm,
have I seen specific examples? Of course. I've seen them, especially in the real estate space, where someone maybe leans into a specific sort of content that takes
mm,
them in a direction. But I don't
mm.
want to disparage anybody or use any specific names.
Sure.
I'll just take it from myself.
Mm,
It's hard to put those guardrails up when this is your entire business, especially,
mm,
not especially for me, but for me, because
mm,
the business that I am in, which is real estate media, that is the broke agent, that is the podcasting, all of this, it stops if I don't continue to produce.
mm.
So I am married to my wife, thankfully. I am
Yeah.
married to my I am married to these social platforms. It is kind of an interlocking web that does not stop. It is not healthy.
Hmm.
I'll tell you this, like it is. I feel a magnetic force in my phone if I
Hmm.
haven't published content recently. Like I'm thinking about it right now, right? We have
Hmm.
our email to send to 50,000 plus agents. I have not crafted that email yet. I'm
Hmm.
thinking about the fact that I've only posted 3 times on the BAM Instagram today when I'm supposed to post 4 or 5 because of
Hmm.
my own rules. There's
Hmm.
a blog up right now that I haven't done any piece of content for that our writers did an amazing job writing that I have not broken down into a short form piece.
Hmm.
So I don't really have an answer for this. I think
Uh,
my point is that it is a struggle. The consistency thing for me has been the best driver of
hmm.
content and revenue for our brand
Hmm.
because I am so locked into it, right?
Hmm.
But I think it's almost about developing a system or hiring people around you that could kind of help emulate your voice to help with all this
Hmm.
if you're producing that amount of content at scale. Does that
Hmm.
even answer the question?
Yeah, it does. No, well,
Okay.
and it does because I appreciate the honesty,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, so in the coolest way possible, you're about to become a dad for the first time. We talked about
Yeah.
that, right? Pre-show. It's just
Yeah.
amazing. So, audience, pray for him and his wife. That's an amazing thing. Little girl's
Thank
coming
you.
in May. I think you
Mhm.
said, right? So it's
Yeah,
awesome.
breaking the news on this podcast, by the
Yeah. Oh,
way.
are you? Oh, sorry.
I mean, basically, no,
We'll
that's
edit that
good.
out.
No, no,
And
no,
we
but it's
okay,
totally
okay, it's
fine
okay,
because some
okay.
people
Well,
know.
you heard it here first, right? Eric
Yes.
Simon is having a baby.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mom, Dad, if you're listening to this, we'll let you know later
right,
today.
right, exactly. I don't think they will be, so I think you're covered there, right, buddy? But so
They
okay,
know.
so you're now thinking about you don't know what it's like yet, right? You haven't fully experienced it, of course, but you're now thinking about, all right, this little human's going to be coming into my world. Most of our audience has children too. How are you right now thinking, right? Because you're going to have exactly what you said. And I just appreciate that honesty, that pool. I've always felt that I'm terrible at content. And so, honestly, Eric, I've tried to stay away from getting so much into social media because I see how much it sucks me in, right?
Mhm.
But at the same thing in the podcast, if I don't show up and produce, it goes away. And that's a gift because it works, but it's a challenge and almost like golden handcuffs, right? And so, how are you thinking about, or how are you processing through? Man, I'm about to have a baby. My wife's going to need a lot of attention. Baby's going to need a lot of attention. I'm going to be really tired. What are you putting in place, or how are you processing through? How do I protect, my family, which is the primary thing? Your baby girl can't go get another dad, right? How are you protecting that while still pushing forward? What
Yeah.
has brought you to where you are, or how are you thinking about that?
Basically just ignoring it, and we'll
Yeah.
address the problem when it comes,
Fantastic.
honestly.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
The
that's the
entrepreneurs,
answer.
that's how we
No,
solve
like
problems. Yeah.
so the responsibility. So I don't know if the audience knows the broke agent story or anything like that. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I started a real estate humor brand in 2015 that has evolved into this real estate media company called BAM. From
Hmm.
2015 basically through 2022, so 7 years of publishing content, the responsibility was only on myself. I was a one-person company,
Wow.
right? I Now it's a 12-person company with
Wow.
writers and video editors and Facebook ads and content repackagers and creative directors and a CEO. Like it's now a thing. So now I have a responsibility to do stuff that I have been doing now for 10, 11 years.
Hmm.
Before, when it was just me, if I miss a few days of posting, it was not the end of the world
Hmm.
because it's just on me, right? Like, sure,
Hmm.
revenue would drop, engagement would drop, followers wouldn't grow, and I always felt that kind of FOMO of the fact,
Hmm.
not necessarily the need for validation, but the need to keep pushing the ball towards the goal of what I wanted to build.
Hmm.
So now that we have a team, we are putting people in place currently and training people that could emulate my voice a little bit, at least to publish on Facebook and
Hmm.
X and Threads and LinkedIn and start
Hmm.
distributing our content to basically say, like, okay, well, this is how Eric posts. This is how we're going to do it on all these other platforms. And honestly,
Hmm.
with AI and ChatGPT, it's a lot easier to replicate what I am doing.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to replace myself at some point with
Hmm.
someone that is just creating content like how I do it. Not
Hmm.
completely replace myself, but I'm at least preparing for the fact that I know that in 2.5 months everything's going to change,
Hmm.
and for at least a 2-3 week period, I'm going to be completely out.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe when the baby's sleeping, I could launch a couple Instagram posts. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Good
I
luck
assume
with
so.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you will. And I think, what's so interesting is exactly what you talked about at the beginning. It's like it would be a mistake, I think, for you to have a baby in this life change and then never talk about it. right? Now it's
Yeah.
not even in the picture, and whatever you guys decide with whether you put baby in whatever, that's
Mhm.
you in social media. But this reality of like people want to know who you are. They really want to understand you individually, right? And like you. And if you're not likable, then it's hard for people to want to buy anything that you have, right? Or any kind of
Mhm.
content. Like likability is such a huge factor. So
Well,
a
you could
top oh, go ahead, buddy.
sorry, I just wanna,
Yep.
touch on that. Like, from the perspective of a dad, which I do not have yet, more
Mhm.
content will come. I have no interest. Like, I don't show my wife in content. I'm not telling people or suggesting that anyone wants to show their family if you don't want to. I know that's against a lot of people's rules, as it
Sure.
probably should be for some people.
Mm,
But that doesn't mean that the perspective in my writing doesn't change, right? The
mm,
perspective of the humor of what it's going to be like to be a dad from a real estate, positioning, that could come through the content. So
mm,
if you are a real estate dad or a real estate mom and you don't want to show your family and you're listening to this thinking like, okay, great, but I'm not going to show my kids, going to their favorite like candy store or whatever, you can
mm,
still talk about it, right? You can
mm,
still say, I take my kids to this pizza shop. I'm talking about like community based content.
mm,
Or, after my showings, I take my kids here. Like
mm.
that sort of stuff I think could work as opposed to actually showing them. Sorry,
Mhm.
but
No, no, no,
go
that's
ahead.
good. No, I appreciate that
Yeah.
clarity. Yeah, so okay, so you talked about systematizing, right? Delegating some of the
Hmm.
task. A top producer, right? Someone doing 40, 50 deals a year. Should they be thinking in how do I delegate this? How do I systematize this? Or is it you still got to be the one that shows up and does, the video, does the reel, whatever. But to your point, maybe someone else can post in your voice and do this
Hmm.
in your voice. So there's some delegation, but at the end of the day, you still got to be the one that shows up. Is that how they should be thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, written content's easier to emulate because you could kind of have ChatGPT find your voice, or you could have someone kind of replicate your old content. But I think
Mm,
what's really going to be a difference maker, especially here in the next 2 or 3 years, as AI becomes so much more prominent and
mm,
in all of our lives in every facet, is seeing the real person on camera. Right. Like
mm,
I've already seen a lot of AI videos that agents are doing where it's not even the agent talking. It's a
mm,
replica of themselves doing hyperlocal content. And
mm,
it's effective, but we're going to get so used to kind of the AI slop. You could kind of tell when you're reading something on X or Facebook that it was written by ChatGPT because you could just
mm,
kind of tell that AI cadence.
mm.
And
5
it's
emojis that they would never use. Yeah, yeah,
exactly the
right.
M dashes, the emojis, the kind of
Sure.
spacing, the like
Mm,
punctuality of the cadence of it. And I think
mm,
what's going to be more effective going forward is when I know it's the person publishing it, right? Like that's why the
mm,
broke agent voice has been strong in the community the last 11 years, is because you could kind of tell it's me, because
mm,
it is, right?
mm,
Every caption is written by me, every post is by me. Same with
mm,
the BAM Instagram account. And of
mm,
course, we'll use AI to help with, grammar and organization and stuff. But I think in the next 2 or 3 years, you are going to have to be the voice of your content and probably be the one publishing it a little bit, or at least the one, crafting the captions and stuff, as people just start to tune out of a million different accounts that they follow that have just been completely taken over by AI.
mm, mm.
I mean, they're saying now they could replicate dead people and have them
Wow,
continue on posting. So if I
that's
were to
so
die
weird.
today,
Yeah.
that Meta is going to allow some sort of AI, or if you allow it, I guess, to basically keep posting like the broke agent exists, which
Hmm.
is just feels
That's
creepy.
weird.
I don't know. I don't
That's
like
smart
it.
too. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have you
yeah,
back and we'll
exactly.
figure that out.
You could
That's
have my dead AI back, and
yes,
it
yes.
could
That hey, guys,
speak
no
for me.
matter what happens to Eric, we're having him on the show. So that's
Yeah,
the good news. We'll have him back no
exactly.
matter what. Man, that's
Yeah,
that's pretty creepy. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
2 more quick questions for you, buddy,
Okay.
and maybe quick, but I'm curious your perspective, right? Again, I'm thinking of the high producing leader that has a family. How do they scale their visibility without letting their phone own their evening?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm not a high producer, so I
Yep.
would want someone from the agent perspective to talk about how they do that.
Hmm,
My phone does rule what I do right now, straight
hmm,
up.
hmm.
So I can't give you a conclusive answer to anything about that because it's happening to me. So I'm
Mm.
actually the perfect use case for
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I wish I could tell you. I mean, I obviously like planning out your content and having a system and hiring staff that could emulate what you do. That will obviously help, but
Hmm.
that's an answer that everybody already knows. So I
Yeah.
wish I could give you a better answer, but I can't
Mm. No.
BS.
No, I mean, I appreciate the
I don't know
honesty.
the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think, like, so much of my hesitation, honestly, is it seems like that, hey, if you're gonna succeed in this, you gotta be posting a lot of stories, right, for example. Okay,
Mhm.
content, whatever, but stories, they need to see what's going on in your life, and honestly, my biggest hesitation, right or wrong, and this is personal, but my biggest hesitation has been, I don't want my kids, right, they're 8 to 7 months, I don't want my kids to walk around and see daddy with the phone all the time.
For
Right? And
sure.
it doesn't mean that we don't do that some now to record videos and send it to my dad or, whatever to have for posterity. But I don't want them to grow up and like, why is dad always pointing a phone in my face? Or why is daddy always interrupting what we're doing to, hey, here I am at whatever, whatever. And I'm not saying that you have to do that all day. You could be out on your own and do, and that's okay, whatever. But it just, to me, it feels like exactly what you're saying, which again, I just appreciate your honesty. Someone who's doing it at a high level to be honest, to be like, yeah, it does suck me in. Like it is
Yeah,
running.
it's
Like I just appreciate that honesty because that's just true. How do we, protect from that? So, my last question, and I'm curious, maybe this is a question you can answer, maybe not, but if someone right now is saying, man, my brand is growing online, social media is going well, but it's growing really fast, is there some sort of protection or guardrail or structural safeguard, if you will, that they should put in place before they scale further? Or it's just gonna, it feels like if you get a ton of influence, unless you feed that monster constantly, it's gonna go away. And so it becomes an even bigger monster, right?
mhm.
In a good, it's like both things growing up at the same time, right? This crazy evil monster that wants all your attention, which is also how you're providing for your family. How do you protect? Is there something that they could do to protect against that?
This is like a therapy session. I'm
Yeah.
literally the subject of all of these questions.
Yeah.
So if I once I figure it out, have me back on the podcast
Yes.
and I can let
Yeah.
you know. I could, I guess, give you some tactical things that could alleviate
Please.
this a little bit, which would be double down on stuff that already works.
Hmm.
So if you have a piece of content or you have a topic that has done really well in the past, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time and keep kind of fishing for new things, right? If you have a joke that hits really well, repackage it 10 different ways. If
Hmm.
you have a education video that you did really well or a story that resonated with the audience, whether it was on a podcast or a webinar or something, and you see like the light bulbs go off, that's something that you take and you repackage, right? So we're
Hmm.
constantly looking at content, whether it's on the broke agent, BAM, our media company, any of our creators. If there's something that did well 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 12 months ago, repost it
Hmm.
or repackage it. Turn a reel into a carousel, turn a carousel into a reel, turn a still image post into a tweet, turn a tweet into a LinkedIn post, right? You have stuff that you've already created, so keep pulling from that creation already.
Hmm.
So that could help you kind of at least think,
Hmm.
oh God, like I got to post again. What do I post? I need to do something. It's like, all right, well, I did post this 6 months ago. My audience has probably changed or grown a little bit. And the majority of my audience probably hasn't seen it. So I'm going to re-upload it again or
Hmm.
repackage it.
Hmm. So it's
Experimental.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, no, you're good. Go ahead.
Experimentation also is important too.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm constantly trying out new things on social.
Hmm.
So it's a new topic, it's a new way to package the piece of content. It's, am I good on camera? Should I do podcasting? So it is fun to kind of figure out where your lane is,
Hmm.
because a lot of people listening to this probably say, "Oh man, I suck at social," but maybe
Hmm.
you're good on the mic. Right?
Hmm.
Like maybe it's a radio show, maybe it's audio content that you
Hmm.
could somehow package into short form.
Hmm.
um, I don't know if that even answered the
Yeah.
question. What
No,
was the
no.
initial,
It's a no, no, but it's just
how to
like as it
systemize?
grows, yeah, what are the structural things they can put in place? I do like that idea of
Mhm.
it's not the constant, it's gotta be new, it's gotta be new, it's gotta be new,
Right.
which in and of itself would stress somebody out. I've felt that way
Mhm.
with the podcast, I'm sure you have. We're 300 episodes in. It's like,
Yeah.
no, look at what works and do it again, in a
Yeah.
different way, and that's okay. That's what the
Schedule.
audience wants.
Okay, here's a better answer to that.
Yeah.
I do schedule, so like we do a bunch of podcasts on BAM, but I've done the walkthrough now for 2.5, 3 years, and before that it was
Hmm.
the Overask podcast,
Hmm.
a marketing podcast for real estate agents.
Hmm.
Um, we film at the same time every single Thursday at the same time, no matter what. Every single week, we shoot a week ahead.
Hmm.
So that really helps with scheduling.
Hmm.
If you're listening to this and you're wondering, well, when do I create content? you could always bulk record, so you're not feeling that
mm,
constant gravitational pull that I mentioned earlier, where you
mm,
need to post something today, but you have nothing in the tank or nothing in the bank.
mm,
If you bulk record and say, hey, every 3 weeks or once a month, I'm hiring a videographer, or not, I'm just doing it myself in my office or with another agent or loan officer or whatever,
mm,
and you plan out your content and you say you're going to shoot 20 pieces of content, then you bulk record it and then you have that for the next month.
mm.
So that way
That's
you're
good.
not constantly thinking about that. Or
Mm,
it's every single morning after you make your calls, make your breakfast, whatever, you have
mm,
30 minutes that it's like, this is my social time. I'm
mm,
going to scroll for 15 to try to come up with inspiration and
mm,
see if there's anything that kind of sparks an idea, or I'm going to publish something. And
mm,
publishing a piece of content could mean going create mode on Instagram and posting just, BK's Taco Shop is my favorite place in Tucson. What do you
mm,
think?
mm,
Right? Just like that way, everybody, when they go to BK's Taco Shop, they're now thinking about me, and it's kind of creating a community debate.
mm,
So think now with content, simplicity is better.
mm,
People don't want to see the highly edited content. They want, a screenshot on your notes section. They want a tweet that you just thought of. It's a spur of the moment story of, hey, I just showed a house. Now I'm getting in the car. Let me tell you a little bit about this house or what this
mm,
client just asked me.
mm,
Try to create content for try to create content about stuff that just happened to you, because that's when it's fresh
mm,
in your head.
That's
How
good.
is that? 16 different answers
Yeah,
for one question that
that's
never
good,
even
man.
addressed
Yeah,
the
I
question.
love it. You just gave me 100 different reels that we can use and
There
answer
we
any
go.
questions. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, so for our audience, so one thing that I've tried to do, because honestly, I am afraid of all of the dopamine hits, because I realize how
Yeah.
powerful of a tool it is to me to open my phone and look, right? And it's like, why do I care so much? I just posted that. Nobody likes it yet. How is that possible? And so I've tried to create content. I'm not great at it, but create content, send it to my assistant and say, you upload it. Because if I go on there, I know I'm going to be dragged into this idea of like, well, who's doing this? And now they're doing that. And look how good they're doing. And I'm not doing it. And why am I not doing it? And then, 30 minutes later, I feel terrible about myself, or, I'm making content that I didn't mean to, or I'm worried about things I don't need to be worried about, whatever. Like each
Hmm.
of us has an area, I believe, as believers, right, is to take chaos and create order. That's the original responsibility of Adam in the garden. That's your responsibility, agent. Wherever you are and whatever the Lord has given you, try to create order. So if that's in your lane of social media, then try to create order. It's the batch creation, and then just post every day, right? Create
Hmm.
consistency, create order. If it's in your open houses, then just do it and do it really well with excellence. But, I think at the end of the day, for me, I try to live this way, and I'm not in any way great at it, but if I can do this with excellence, then I will do it. If I
Hmm.
can't, then I won't. Right. So if
Hmm.
you want to show up on social, if you want to do these things, if you want to grow influence and all these things, which I think is really helpful and important, then do it with excellence. And if that means letting something else go, then let something else go. And then all I would say is, for me, it's asking my wife, hey, am I spending too much time on this? Or am I present enough with you guys and the kids? And, being transparent with you guys, because Eric, you've been transparent. It's like a lot of times the answer is no. Okay,
Hmm.
what can I do better? Because at the end of the day, my social media feed's not going to be with me at the end of my life, right? It's my family, it's the people that matter in my life. And so it doesn't mean it's not a good thing. It can be a really, really good thing, right? But I think it's
Counterpoint.
something we have to careful. Yeah, please.
Counterpoint, it can be there with you at the end of at the end of your life, if you opt into that meta thing that keeps posting after you're
That's
deceased.
right. Yeah,
But no, I
totally.
agree.
Yeah, that's
I
right. Forget what I
I
just
also
said. You guys will be hearing from me for the next
yeah,
300 years. That's right.
forever. Yeah, and
Yeah,
your future
forever, man.
AIs will
I
be
love it.
talking to each other.
That's awesome,
The
dude.
um
That's
I
awesome,
just
buddy.
want to make a point that the
Please.
dopamine hits,
Yeah.
I that's not what I am on the phone for anymore. It was very cool at the beginning, especially the broke agent, to see the engagement, just to see that people liked the message I was putting out.
Hmm,
But I'll just tell you, anybody here, the dopamine hits become less of a factor when you
hmm,
post more.
hmm,
Like it's almost like going to the gym, immediately you start to kind of see your muscles get sore after the first couple workouts, but if you keep going to the gym, you're not getting as sore, right? It's
hmm,
kind of like that with content. I don't know if that's a
hmm.
great analogy,
No, it's
but
good.
where
Hmm,
where the flops don't hurt nearly as much if you've posted 100 times. If you're posting once
hmm,
a week or once every 2 weeks, and you make it like this moment of, all right, I'm going to send it to my assistant and then post it. This is such a big deal. No
hmm,
offense,
hmm.
but I
No,
just
no.
mean, like,
Hey, no. I appreciate the counterpoint.
yeah. Then it becomes then the engagement really does matter.
Hmm.
because then you're almost making an event out of it. But if you just
Hmm.
post it and the next day you know that you're going to post again, the next day you know you're going to post again, who cares about the thing that I posted 2 times ago? And
Hmm.
also, no one cares about anything
Hmm.
basically with social.
It's true.
You know, like
Yeah.
if you consume BAM content, you've probably seen, or the broke agent content I've posted 5,500 times.
Wow.
Nobody is probably thinking about any of these posts throughout the
Yeah.
day,
Right. You're
right?
right.
Even if I have one that gets a million views or
Hmm.
something, those people see it for 2 seconds, they laugh, they share it, they comment, maybe.
Hmm.
Most people don't, and then they move on with their lives. So no
Hmm.
one is thinking about your content as much as you are,
Hmm.
and that should be kind of a relieving feeling for people, where it's just like, okay, if I publish this and it gets nothing, who cares? And if I
Hmm.
publish something and it does amazing, the dopamine is cool for 2 seconds, but
Hmm.
that goes away too the longer you do it.
Hmm. That's good.
So
I love
I
it.
don't know if that's a
Great
good thing or
perspective.
not. I think it
Yeah.
is, because
Yeah.
the dopamine
Is control.
dopamine from social is controlling it, and honestly is not that cool.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go post and because
Yeah.
most of my content nobody cares, right? But it's like if you're a
No one
pinch
cares.
hitter and you get one at bat, you better get a hit. But if you're an
Correct.
everyday
It
player,
matters.
it's all right. You can strike out a bunch of times and then get a couple hits and you're good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You think I
it's
remember
a
that
great
Aaron
perspective.
Judge went 0 for 5 in Cincinnati last year?
That's right.
Well, I do actually, but
Do you?
no, but
Yeah.
I remember him dropping the ball in center field in the 5th inning against the
Mhm.
Dodgers in the World Series last year. That's
Right.
how I remember,
But he's
and I
also
remember his
MVP.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I
Like,
don't care. How about be
yeah,
the
yeah.
MVP of the World Series for
Mm.
me? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. That's we're not gonna get
I
into
love Aaron
LA, New
Judge. I love
York,
Aaron Judge.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we did everybody. No, that's amazing. Eric, man, I love it, brother, and I just appreciate your honesty. So, man, if they wanna learn more about what you guys are doing, where should they go? What's the best place?
yeah. Head to nowbam.com. That's kind of our hub. We get 3 blog posts up a day there for agent strategy, agent marketing, housing market news, real estate news. Follow us at nowbam on Instagram, and at the broke agent if you want to laugh occasionally.
Amazing. Love it.
Yep.
Man, attention is powerful, but maturity determines whether it builds freedom or instability. Influence doesn't ruin people, unstructured influence does. Faithful agents, we love you. I am so grateful for you. Genuinely pray for Eric and his wife as they get ready to welcome this little baby girl. And for all of us, I hope that we will pray and hold each other accountable to make sure that the main things stay the main things. And it's not just about getting more attention, it's about showing up better for our families at the end of the day. And if social media helps you do it with excellence. And if it doesn't, maybe take a break. Love you, faithful agents. I will see you next week.